Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with another Rich Reacts show. Not just reacting to yesterday's 2-2 draw against Nashville, but more sort of reflecting on and reacting to Aston Villa's pre-season tour in the US, where they've played 3 friendlies, and just really to talk about, I guess, my opinion on some of the positives that have come out of that and some of the negatives that I want to see ironed out over pre-season, but also, I guess, areas where I'm a little bit more concerned about going into the new season. Before we get into it, though, please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on the march to 6,000 subscribers. We want to hit that before the season starts. We need about 150 more, so we're so close. You can help us get there by liking and subscribing, and get your comments in below, your thoughts in general of the US tour and the 3 games that we've played now. We've played Eintracht Frankfurt, St. Louis City, and FC Nashville, and we have come out of those games with 1 victory, a 2-1 victory against St. Louis City, and then 2 2-2 draws. And yesterday's game against Nashville was kind of an indication or similar fashion as the other games. And yes, we could have come out of it with a 2-1 victory, but we sort of made a mistake at the end. And it was very similar in terms of complexion of all the other games. Aston Villa playing very well in stages of those games, then it going pretty scrappy, and with the changes that are being made and some of the things, I guess, that players are being asked to do that they might not be used to or might not be good enough to do, which we'll get into, invariably Aston Villa make mistakes and the other team have been able to punish us. But let's talk about the positives, because it links into yesterday's game as well. So firstly, I think the main positive is Ollie Watkins, who I think, and I think a number of Villa fans will say, has come into pre-season firing. And 3 goals in the last 3 games in pre-season has been brilliant. And I said, with a full rest over the summer, just that time away from his teammates, time with his family, not in a tournament, and just being able to recuperate and then get back to fitness and have a proper pre-season, which he didn't have last season, will really benefit him going into this coming season. And we've seen it in terms of his sharpness, in terms of his general play, wanting to get involved in the game, dropping deep to receive the ball, then getting into the box. And his heading ability the last couple of games has been absolutely brilliant. I mean, the header that he scored with yesterday was absolutely fantastic. The movement, I've watched it a few times. The goal, the cross from Luka Dean was excellent. But if you look at the movement, he tempted the defender into thinking that he was going one side and then cut across him in front of him to time the jump as well. To put that power on the header was brilliant. He had another one just before that the goalkeeper saved, and then he scored a great header in the last game as well. So he's looking really sharp. Could maybe have 1 or 2 more goals as well. Had a one-on-one opportunity yesterday, which was nicely set up by Boubacar Kamara. But to me, Ollie Watkins looks really fit and firing and ready to go. And that is a real positive for Aston Villa going into this coming season. Another positive, Amadou Onana. And he has a real big season ahead of him, because we've seen fits and starts of the promise that he flatters to bring to Aston Villa. We've seen it in fits and starts. We've seen some really good performances, and we started to see that a little bit more towards the end of last season, particularly the Bournemouth game, where he was absolutely fantastic. But then in some of the other games, hasn't really stepped up, and he's got to really force his way into Unai Emery's mind as being undroppable. We've got Kamara, Tielemans, Onana, McGinn as the main sort of central midfielders, and Onana really has to see who is he going to replace in that midfield, or who is he going to force Unai Emery into thinking, I've got to put them into a different position, because Onana can be huge for us, particularly in those games where we need a physical presence. And he's really impressed me. I think some of the way he's been able to control the ball off the back four, some of the way he's been able to drive through midfield, and then just controlling the pace of the game and just being a little bit more disciplined in the way that he's been playing. So in terms of those central midfielders, I would say that across this US tour, I've been most impressed with Onana. Yes, we've seen some nice things from Tielemans. We've seen some okay things from Kamara. I'll come on to him in a minute. And John McGinn was great in the last game, and he's just getting into his fitness. But Onana, for me, has probably been that strongest of the midfielders. The other positive, I think, is Lamar Bogard, and he needs a little mention because we've talked about us really do needing cover in those central defensive positions, and I still think we do. But could we have found our understudy to Ezri Konsa in that right centre-back position? Now, I will temper that with the fact that we are playing friendlies, and I have seen a couple of times where they've tried to isolate him, and he's just about held off the striker with strength. Now he's obviously going to develop. He's obviously going to get stronger, but that is a minor concern I've got in the Premier League when he's put up against a real strong centre forward, because that is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to target him with balls over the top, isolate him 1v1, and then see if he can hold off that striker. Now, to me, he has done really well. He's looked really calm and assured on the ball. You can see he's found his space within the squad, and he's starting to tell people what to do, tell players where to go, and starting to dictate a little bit about where he wants people to be and moving the ball and demanding the ball and asking for the ball. But just that part for me about the strength, and it's not necessarily his fault, but I want to see that. I'll be interested to see how that comes under scrutiny and testing when the time is in the Premier League. So, yeah, those are really the three main players that have come out of it for me with a lot of credit and look really sharp. In terms of the way that we've played, it's good to see us, and a positive spin on the fact that we haven't made any significant signings is the fact that we do have a settled squad, and those players being able to play with each other, to train with each other, leads us to them to know how to operate and how to be. And sometimes if you're integrating lots of new players into a squad, yes, you've got these friendlies, but when it comes to the crunch in Premier League matches where it really matters, sometimes those things don't click into place straight away, and you can get caught on the back foot. Now, Aston Villa, in their situation, we've got players who know how to play with each other. We know the runs that they make. We know how they're going to what their strengths and weaknesses are. So that can lead to an advantage. And you've seen that when he's played, his main players in the first 30 minutes of most of the games, the way that we've been able to start the games, the way that we've created space, the way that we've maybe found bits of space and been able to play passes that have penetrated through the defense. That's a lot to do with the fact that we know each player knows what runs everyone's going to make. So that's the familiarity that we've got. And that's been a positive spin on the fact that we've got a settled team. We've been able to keep the vast majority of our players. Yes, we might let one or two go and hopefully bring one or two in, which I'll come to in a second. But that really is, I think, a positive to go into the new season with. And I said in the last game, when you look at it, we have got a hell of a team. When everyone's fit and firing, it is a brilliant, brilliant team. And that midfield is really hard to get into. And games are won and lost in midfield. And with Kamara on his game, with Onana on his game, with Tielemans and McGinn, you've got a real midfield there. And obviously Morgan, Rogers, etc., playing off them. So that is a real position of strength that we have. And that will set us up nicely going into the new season. Now, I guess the things that I'm concerned about, or not necessarily concerned about that, but I want to see us really work on over the next few games and into the season. We still seem to be conceding the same type of goals. And this hasn't been addressed through pre-season. And I understand Unai Emery might be saying, just keep playing the way that we are, and we'll get through it and you'll learn and you'll become more confident. But it doesn't seem to be working. Boubacar Kamara has been caught out multiple times with holding onto the ball too long, receiving the ball with his back, facing the goal, and he's got pushed off the ball far too easily, and then it puts us under pressure. That needs to change. He needs to get better at receiving the ball on the half turn and being able to move the ball quicker when he receives it from the goalkeeper or from a defender. That isn't good enough. We keep conceding those goals. We're not quick enough with passing the ball across the back, and we're getting caught out time and time and time again. And if we're getting caught out in pre-season friendlies in this fashion, you can make all the excuses that you want. Oh, it's at the end of the game, and Unai Emery's trying different players and trying different things. But the principles and the foundations are set in these pre-season games. When it comes to the crunch, we're going to get caught out. And we keep doing the same things over and over and over again. We've seen that this is why we need pace up front as well, real pace up front, because you can see sometimes the defenders or the midfielders are reluctant to put their foot through it and play a longer ball into the channels that turns the defense and puts them under pressure because they feel like they're going to give the ball away. Many times that is the right pass to make. And if you've got pace in behind, you know that you can trouble the defenders. But continuously trying to play it across the back and playing this ponderous football across the back and waiting for maybe a mistake or someone to make the wrong move and then you being able to capitalize on it sometimes isn't the right way to do it, particularly with players like John McGinn or players like Boubacar Kamara that aren't the best at receiving the ball off the defenders and hold on to it for too long and get caught out. So for me, that is a real issue that needs addressing. The other issue is the goals, right? Now I've just praised Ollie Watkins for the goals that he scored over pre-season, but I haven't seen us step on the gas after we've scored a goal to then get 2 or 3. And this was a criticism of us last season. We'd score a goal and then we'd settle in, and then we'd maybe concede again, and we have to go back to the well and we have to try and score another goal. And this was the lack of clean sheets situation up until the last few games of the season. And when we've scored, we've been playing really well. We've scored, and then we haven't then built on it. We also haven't scored enough goals around the team. Now, Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers have scored the bulk of our goals in pre-season. Yes, Donyell Marlon got a goal yesterday, which was a nice finish. But we haven't scored enough. Jacob Ramsey had a couple of good chances. Leon Bailey isn't anywhere near where he should be right now. Emi Buendia does so much busy stuff, but doesn't actually produce anything, in my opinion, on the pitch. And I don't necessarily think he'll be with us. But where are the goals coming from? Yuri Tillemans, Boubacar Kamara, Amadou Onana, John McGinn, even the wired defenders, Matty Cash, Luca Dean. Where are the goals going to come from? And this is part of my concern, is that, yes, we're centering around Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins and a little bit around Donyell Marlon, but we need to see more goals from other areas of the pitch. We scored 2 goals in each of those games, 2-2 against Frankfurt, 2-1 against St. Louis City, 2-2 against Nashville. What about 3s? What about 4s? Where is that coming from? Because we know we're going to concede goals. As it stands at the moment, we keep conceding the same type of goal every single game. So we need to have more goals, and we need to take the pressure off the likes of Morgan Rogers, the likes of Ollie Watkins, because if they don't score, Villa don't score. So I'm not seeing that in terms of, that is an area of concern for me. Donyell Marlon as well. Yes, he's done some really good stuff in terms of numbers, and that supporting cast, Ramsey, Marlon, if it's going to be Buendia, I don't think it's going to be, but if it is, Leon Bailey, what's the situation with them? What happens if we get 1 or 2 injuries? There's not enough coming through. We desperately need attacking options, because if Ollie Watkins gets injured, if Morgan Rogers gets injured, we are in real serious trouble with our creativity and with our goal scoring output. So that is an area of concern for me. I haven't seen enough from Ramsey, from Leon Bailey, and from Emi Buendia to suggest that they're going to be anywhere near good enough to produce in the Premier League next season. Yes, I know it's pre-season. I know they're getting into the swing of things. I know there's another week or 2 to go, but I'm still not seeing enough. And Donyell Marlon, he's got the numbers, right? He's had 3 assists. He scored a goal. But am I fully convinced that Donyell Marlon is going to be a main player for Aston Villa next season? I will him to do well, and I know pretty much every Aston Villa supporter is willing him to do well because of, I guess, the tinge of injustice that he felt last season with him not being in the Champions League squad and kind of only playing a bit part. And when he came on, he scored, and he's got that bit between his teeth when he plays. He's got that determination, and we love to see it. But have I seen enough yet to suggest that he's going to be a main player for us? I have to say no, and I really want to, but I have to say no right now. So we must get players. And then I guess the final piece to say is that the other supporting cast and the younger players, I'm not seeing enough from them to suggest that they're going to put a lot of pressure on the first team. So again, in terms of bodies, in terms of squad numbers, we know we get injuries across the season. We've already got Garcia with a little bit of a knock. We've already got Ross Barkley with a bit of a knock. So we know we're going to get injuries across the season. And what you're hoping for in pre-season is for some of these young lads to really, really knock on the door and say, I'm pretty much ready to come into the first team. And Jemo Aloba, yes, in fits and starts has done okay, but I think I'd have liked to have seen more from him. I was thinking about this today, and we were absolutely raving about Jaden Philogene a couple of summers ago about how good he was and the impact that he made in the pre-season. And then he still wasn't good enough. He still went to sign for a different club before we brought him back. Jemo Aloba, I haven't seen the same talk about him. Yes, he might be younger at the time, but I haven't seen the same talk about him. So he really does, I think, need a loan move. I don't think he's done enough for me to say he's going to be the main first team. And he's probably the best of the younger players. Tristan Rowe been caught out a couple of times out of position. And that lends itself to me that he needs a bit more experience. Illing Jr. hasn't done anywhere near enough for me in terms of showing what he can do. Travis Patterson, it's more of an experience for him. I think he'll go out on loan. He's probably not played in his favourite position, but I don't think any of those young players, yes, it's been a great experience for them, but they haven't really knocked on the door. And Bizart in goal, this is the fringe player, not one of the young players, obviously. He's been okay, but Joe Gauci, I mean, this goalkeeper, where the hell have we got him from? He is absolutely terrible. So the general point is that if we get injuries to our main first team, I worry about the goals that are coming from if Morgan Rogers or if Ollie Watkins gets injured. And then beyond that, the younger players coming through or the real fringe members of the squad, I haven't seen them knocking on the door to show that they're good enough to be included in the squad yet. So there are a few underlying concerns for me about the depth of players that are going to really, really impact the first team, and then players that can impact the first team squad. So we must get players in. And I know Unai Emery's talked about maybe having to do a bit of wheeler dealing, but we must be able to sign one or two players to strengthen this squad. Yes, we might lose Jacob Ramsey, and that might be for pure profit and PSR reasons. We might end up going for players on loan. I've seen Marco Asensio linked again on loan. So maybe that's something that we can do. But we really do need some players in because we've got a good squad, good nucleus of a squad. And you can see the players know how to play with each other, and you can see that familiarity. But we really need pace in the wide areas, pace up front. But we also need a bit of freshness. And we know the positions that need strengthening as well. Another fullback, another centre-back, because can we go into a season with Torres, Mings, Concert and Bogard? I don't think we can. So those are the main areas for me. But all in all, I think it's been a fairly productive tour to the US. Last season was a real scrappy one in terms of players coming in and out and joining at different times. And some of the performances were pretty bad over there. Whereas this time around, I think it's been more of a settled preseason. We've seen some real flashes of excellent play in those 30-minute bursts. And then we've seen a bit of scrappiness when we've made substitutions. But I've seen some of the same mistakes that I haven't wanted to, that I want to see solved for next season. And I've also seen some real positive performances, as I've said there, but also some glaring holes in our squad that need filling. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to get your thoughts in there. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are there other players that have really impressed you as well? Or is there any other areas that you think we really do need to improve? Is it like no need to worry at all? Is there no need to worry at all? We've got another 3 pre-season games to go before the big kickoff against Newcastle. I'm really interested in your thoughts. So let me know in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. About 150 to go to hit that big 6,000 subscribers. So help us get there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.